It's not just about cash flow, it's about profitability. But when you're working all day and you're exhausted at the end of the day, it's tough to think about that, right? And you focus on being an operator instead of on being an owner. And that's one thing that Jack is driving within the company is we make operators more efficient, but we've got to get our customers to think like owners, not operators all the time. And that makes them more successful. And when they're more successful, we'll be more successful.
This is episode 154 with Jack Nelson and Kevin Embree of Skimmer. Enjoy.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Viafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
All right. Well, thank you guys both for joining us today. We appreciate you coming down all the way from Austin. Can you introduce yourselves to listeners and kind of what your role is at the company?
Hey, I'm Jack Nelson, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm the CEO of Skimmer.
And I'm Kevin Embree, and I run marketing and business development.
Awesome. Well, Jack, you joined us on episode 138, where we discussed basically all things Skimmer, but, we like to get to know you both a little bit better. So can you share your journey with us and how that's kind of led you to Skimmer?
Yeah, it's a roundabout journey. I grew up wanting to be a lawyer because my dad was a lawyer, and that's what I thought I would do. And so I went to law school and did that for a couple of years until I realized it's not what I wanted to do. And a friend of mine recruited me to start a company up, and I moved from Austin to San Antonio and started a company and just fell in love with entrepreneurialism and growing a business. And we had pretty good success. And along the way, I also started a law firm and was able to grow both of those at the same time. Ended up selling the company, and then a couple of years later bought it back, and then did that for a few more years until I sold it again for the last time in 2019. And I was trying to figure out my next move when my now business partner approached me and said, "Hey, I've heard of this really neat company called Skimmer, and would you be interested in, if we're able to make an investment, would you be interested in running it?" And so that's how I got to Skimmer.
Nice. How did you decide a lawyer wasn't for you? I mean, what was it?
It's a sad statement, but it's a true one. You don't talk to a lot of lawyers who really like their jobs. It's just stressful. It's one of those things you're only making money when your butt's in the chair working, and you're always worried that you don't have enough work, or, well, now I'm too busy. And it's just stressful, and not a lot of, I was on litigation, so companies suing each other, and that's not exactly a pleasant thing to be around all day, every day with people fighting each other. So it wasn't long into my legal career where I realized it's just I'm not cut out for it.
Have you always had the same thought process in your decision making? When you made up the decision that you didn't want to be a lawyer, or, when your friend asked if you wanted to commit on this company, like, what is your, the framework of your decision making?
It's a great question. And I am very, I'm very calculated in my decisions. So when my friend asked me, I actually turned him down at first because I thought, no, I need to be a lawyer. And I don't make many decisions without sort of making my pros and cons either in my head or maybe sometimes even on paper. So this is since I've been a kid, where am I going to go to college? What am I going to do? It's always been a very sort of calculated decision-making process.
Which can be good and parents? Bad. Are you consulting with, maybe...
Me.
You?
Sorry, Mom and Dad. Yeah, no, and I've surrounded myself with people that I, respect and trust, and I certainly have, I go to that network of people when I need advice.
Yeah. Well, I still think that's really cool. We've had a lot of people on the show that went to college and they had a career, whether it be law or, they were going to do something else and didn't work out, but it turns out they were one hell of an entrepreneur. So there's all these things. You learn a lot about discipline and all these other things in school, so that when you want to kind of do your own thing, you can apply all that. And knowing everything from being a lawyer, that's a lot of that is going to be used, in business. What you can and can't do.
Totally. And I think there's two, of course there's different types of entrepreneurs, but there's those ones that just jump in the deep end and we'll figure it out. And then there's the ones like me, which are no, I'll dip my toe in the shallow end and try to figure it out. And you know, there's no right answer. It's not a one size fits all, but I'm definitely more hey, I want to think about everything, which sometimes means we move a little bit slower, but usually we try to avoid some of the mistakes and pitfalls.
I know we talked about this. Is it Good Will Hunting or My Cousin Vinny? Which one is
for
better?
me, it's Good Will Hunting, but I think Kevin's a My Cousin Vinny fan.
Dude, they're both freaking
They
awesome.
are.
But My Cousin Vinny is on. There's no way I can't like stop and watch it for a little bit. That thing is a classic.
Love it.
So you went all the way through law school and everything, and then you stopped doing it?
Yeah. and I'm still paying off my law school student loans. So
Man,
it's a good reminder.
that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
So-
and I went to law school in Chicago during the winter. So 3 years of Chicago winters as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what is like your main role when you get into a business like Skimmer? What are you tasked to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the main thing is to find really talented people to help grow the company. But I'm definitely a player coach. I'm not one of those CEOs who just likes to kind of sit back and strategize all day. I like to roll my sleeves up and do stuff. And I'm like so excited to be out here talking to our customers and understanding our product better, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. And so, I'd say the biggest things are strategy, getting the right people on, and then just trying to lead by example.
Yeah, and I think that's what we really like best about you guys is that you ask so many questions and you're getting involved with the community of pool professionals and getting to know them and getting stoked on how the software is helping them or whatever kind of input they have on making the software better. You're making note of that and you're trying to make it better and you're trying to listen where, I think with people with the background that you guys have might not do that. It's like, no, it's just, this is the best ever. It's not going to change. Like take it or leave it. But you guys are actually like never wanting to stay the same, constantly trying to make things better and listen to the people. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin and I have talked about it a bunch. The month or so he's been out here, I think this will be a total inflection point for the company. Just all of the incredible feedback we've gotten that we can now take back and say, hey, like Skimmer's already good, but let's make it even better. And just being able to have that relationship with our customers it's awesome. And it makes our job so much easier. We're not guessing as to what we should be doing. We're talking to them. We're seeing firsthand. Kevin he'll talk about it. He rode along in a truck for 8 hours the other day to see our product in use. And I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I saw the picture of you cleaning the pool.
That was fully staged, but I was working hard, and it surprised me. It got to the end of the day, I realized I didn't drink enough water.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
for sure.
Phoenix heat,
Yep.
and I think I had a meeting with Jack that afternoon. And I said, I'm just gonna take a nap really quick for like an hour, and I woke up 4 hours later.
Oh.
I texted Jack and I was like, sorry. I was a pool guy today and it hit me hard.
That is awesome. Well, at least you didn't throw up because
Yeah.
the heat will get you, make
Yeah.
you sick.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm curious, what do you do for fun? Because I think this is something I always want to know. We do so much work. There's so much reading, so much listening, so many late nights, early mornings. Like, what do you do to kind of decompress or just live life a little bit?
Well, I've got 2 teenage kids now, so there's chasing them around is a full-time job. I like to hang out with we've got a good bunch of guys in the neighborhood, and during COVID, it's been awesome. All the backyard, hang out, have beers in the backyard. Huge sports fan, so I live in Austin and went to University of Texas and go to all the football games, the basketball games, some of the baseball games. Just love watching sports. So that's about it. I should give a shout out to my wife too. I like hanging out with her as well.
Your daughter's like a competitive volleyball player, right?
She is.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of
she's
traveling.
Yeah, it's absurd. She just qualified for nationals in Las Vegas. So
Okay.
this summer, that's our family trip. We're going to Vegas in a few weeks to go watch her play volleyball there.
Volleyball is an amazing sport. I love volleyball.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I tell people, like, of all the sports I played in my life, volleyball is the most exciting sport to watch and requires so much athleticism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you watch these kids. I mean, my daughter's only 13, but I mean, they're playing above the net, and it's exciting.
I got conned into playing volleyball in high school when I lived in Vegas. And one of my friends was like, I know you're super into skating. Volleyball is a great way to strengthen your like all this bullshit. They're just trying to get me to play volleyball. And so at first I was like, we got a men's volleyball team?
Yeah, right.
I knew we have volleyball, but I'm just, there doing something else. And so I remember I show up the first day and I had a mohawk. This was like during snowboarding season. It was like completely bald on the side. And the coach is like, no, like you got to leave, like go get rid of the rest of that. And like, you can like play or whatever. But I started doing it and just the drills and everything, man, I had so much fun. This is a funny story. I don't know if I've ever shared this before, but we had this tournament on the other side of town. And so it's like all the schools and everyone's like warming up doing stuff. I had the ball. I freaking hit this thing at a wall and it came back and it hit me in the nose and I just started gushing blood everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So I'm just like hanging in the bathroom for like freaking an hour trying to like stop my nose from bleeding. That sucked really bad. But after that, I had a lot of fun doing it.
It's like Ben Stiller and Meet the Fockers. You did it to yourself.
Seriously. Yeah, Greg Fokker style. You got to spike those, Fokker. Seriously, one of the greatest movies of all time. Yes. If you don't like Meet the Parents, man, you got some issues. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool. So what about you, Kevin? Let's hear about your background.
Should I start with the paper route?
Let's start with a paper route because we had a paper route too.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Houston, and that was my first job, was the paper route. And I remember meeting I don't think I was legally old enough to have a job, so I think my mom actually had the job. But the guy showed up and dropped off the big bundle of papers.
Gosh, man!
And I'm not sure I took it seriously. The first few days, like I just roll this up. I'm going to make money. And I remember a couple days, I think I missed a few houses and I thought it's no big deal. And then the next day the guy walked by and he goes, "Hey, I got a couple calls. We got some complaints. 2 people missed their paper." And I remember thinking, I missed 2 people. He got 2 calls.
Right.
And he said, "Hey, let me be clear something. Okay. You're 12 years old, but I'm taking this seriously and I trust you to do what I ask you to do. Are you going to do it? Because if you're not, I'll just pick up the bundles and I'll give it to someone who will." And when you're 12, you're like, what just happened? This guy's like on me. And I thought, no, I'll do it. I'll deliver them. And he's like, good. He goes, "I don't want another phone call." And that really changed the way I thought about responsibility, because it wasn't coming from my parents. It wasn't coming from a teacher. It was coming from someone that I expected to get paid by. But no one had really ever held me accountable in that way, where, it wasn't, I'm going to ground you or, take something away from you. I expect you to do it. I'm not going to fire you. I expect you to do it.
That was probably like your first experience as like a grown up, like you feeling like, you were an adult or something.
Well, it definitely was, because after that, I took it very seriously. And, if my mom was like, "Hey, you need to do this, or you need to make sure you do your homework," I'm like, "Mom, I got to deliver these papers. And once I'm done, I'll get to that." Right.
You just recite what that guy said to your mom.
Exactly.
Mom, listen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
This is real. This is a real business.
And then the Sunday paper bundle would show up on my porch, and it was like 5 times the bundles for the Houston Chronicle. And it took twice as long to roll them up and probably 3 times as long to deliver them, because I couldn't carry as many.
Did you do it on a bike?
No, I had a route where I could walk.
Oh, you walked it?
Yeah, so I had to be actually strategic, logistics wise, like where I put my bundles, and leave one here, go down this road, come back, and it was actually pretty good. I learned that the reason I bring that up is I learned I really like the logistics side of things, like figuring out what can you do at once. What are all the plates or balls you can have in the air, keep up with it all, and so later I ended up in technology. I was drawn to computers for sure. Even though I was a finance major at UT, University of Texas, I I was really drawn to what was happening with Michael Dell. He had just recently left the campus. There was flyers all over campus when I was there. And it said, hey, put together, personal computers, IBM personal computers. And I was an Apple guy at the time. I was a Mac guy. And those were everywhere on campus. And I thought, that's going nowhere. It was Dell. This was Michael Dell with his little colorful sheets. And what I learned from that was you just can't pay attention to what's in front of you, right? What was in front of me was Apple Mac, and it was everywhere at the university. But the peripheral, what was out in the business world, was IBM, and it was everywhere, and it was ubiquitous. And he knew that. And so he was going after the 98% of the market at that time, which were businesses, and they were buying IBM PCs, and they wanted them constructed a certain way.
What year was this?
This was 1987.
Okay.
Yeah. 1986, 1987. But yeah, that was an important lesson. It was funny. I spoke at his, one of the schools his daughter went to. I brought that story up as that's a great lesson of you're so focused on, you think you know exactly where everything is. It's right in front of you. But when you look around and you really pay attention and really access your peripheral view, it's completely different on what's actually happening and what you should be focused on. And so I took my finance degrees, just like Jack, and I said, I'm not going to do this. And ended up at Electronic Data Systems, which is Ross Perot's old company.
Okay.
And started into a systems engineering development program, became a developer. I was a software developer and software development management type of guy for like 8 years.
Yeah. So I just thought of something. In being a developer, I'm sure you have to be extremely organized. Or how did you, figure out how to be organized with like digital assets? Because I think that's something that we all sort of struggle with, everything being on your computer and these external hard drives and all these different things. Was that something that you're always drawn to, was being organized? Because I know that is just one side of it, but for me, it's like, if you're not organized, it makes it really difficult to get things done. It's like going home. I try to teach this to the family. It's like when you walk in, you got to get in the habit of knowing that your keys go here and that this goes here and that goes there. You can have 50 things, but you need to know that every time you use those things, they go back where they, were originally. That way you can always count sort of on that system.
Yeah. I think initially I was drawn to the process and the logic side of it, and kind of walking through, okay, if this, then this, else do this, and just sort of that type of logic. And I enjoy that type of process analysis and looking at, like
it's like a big chess game. I mean, you're trying to figure out like what the end user is going to do and what, there's so many things to it.
And back in the day when I started, it was on mainframe computers. And I actually did some programming with assembly. And it's very much like a chess game when you're moving things around in memory. And you have to keep up with the program when you're putting it together, keep up where is everything in memory. Because back in the day, you didn't have much memory to work with. It was very expensive. And so you had to use it in very creative ways, and you didn't waste it. Like today, when people build apps and they upload them to the store, those apps waste so much memory on your phone or apps for your computer, but no one thinks about it because you can just buy more memory. It's so cheap now. But back in the day, 512K was super expensive.
Ain't no cloud for that.
And Electronic Data Systems was the cloud for state and local governments and large enterprises and large insurance companies, and because no one really could afford to have their own computer that could process that much data.
Yeah. So you've worked with some other really big companies. Maybe you can talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, that led me to working at EDS. Really led me to work for eBay, and that was one of the best experiences of my life. I tell Jack that's why I love working at Skimmer so much. Is it actually reminds me of eBay, and when I'm meeting with customers, it's almost exactly the same. And one way, I remember at eBay, I loved working there. It was really exciting. It was back in 2001. And it was the thing, right? And then we had our first user conference. And I was really proud to work there, and I really felt like I was making a difference. And at the user conference, a woman walked up to me and introduced herself, and then she hugged me without really talking to me. And it was one of those hugs that was a little bit too long. You know, you're like, oh, wow, this is a real hug.
Is she now your wife?
I'm
just kidding. No. And that's how I met your mother.
And then she backed up and she said, I know that was a long hug. She goes, but eBay changed my life, but not just my life, it changed my children's life, and it changed their children's life and the way they think about their future. Because I graduated high school. I don't have a college degree. And when I walk up to people and I try to tell them, hey, I can do that. I'm smart enough to do that. I understand how this works. Give me a shot. They don't. But on eBay, they don't see my background. They don't see how much education I have.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they decide what they want. I deliver it better than anyone else. And they come back for more over and over and over. And I'm one of the best sellers on eBay. And eBay has enabled me to become that person. And now my children see that and they see those opportunities and they look at the world in a completely different way.
That's super cool.
Wow.
I could see how those definitely are similar, Skimmer and eBay.
We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we discuss Skimmer's customer tour, their approach to the industry, and the endless possibilities of the dashboard. This episode of the Pool Chasers podcast is brought to you by Leslie's. As a pool service professional, it's important to have the right partners. Leslie's values the important work you do to serve your local communities, and they want to help. With the new Leslie's Pro Partner Program, you can take advantage of the benefits only Leslie's has to offer. As a member of the program, you will get customer referrals and wholesale pricing. Additionally, you can take advantage of Leslie's extended hours during the week and on the weekends. When we were running Brothers Pool Service, we often used Leslie's when we needed supplies, especially on the weekends, and since they have over 900 locations, they were convenient to get to. They also offer free in-store services like water testing and cleaner repair. To learn more, check out episode 151 of the podcast, or stop by your local Leslie's store today to sign up for the program.
I can't keep thinking, how did you two meet?
So it was my business partner had worked with Kevin at a previous company, and he recommended Kevin when we were investing in Skimmer. He said, man, Kevin's a very talented guy. You're going to need a lot of talent. He can do, I mean, you already heard his background, right? Programming, marketing, finance, kind of a jack of all trades. And so Pete, my partner, connected me and Kevin, and it's been great.
Well, we started, I'm a little bit older, and I've worked for a few companies, and I haven't always loved and been proud of the company I work for. We won't mention any names. But I always worked hard or tried to work hard at what I did and take it very seriously. But I knew I had worked with Pete, and I really liked Pete. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever worked with. And he introduced me to Jack, and Jack was going to be the CEO. And I thought, you know what? I'm just at the age, this guy really has to be a great guy if I'm going to commit to something and work on something. We started talking on the phone, and then we started doing some videos. And I'll tell you, it's pretty magical when you meet someone who's super smart, who's chill, who kind of looks at life as, I'm going to enjoy life, but I take my work life seriously, while at the same time not in a way where they micromanage you, where you feel like you really can't grow and do your thing and use the experience you have. Jack's one of those guys. He definitely figures you out really fast, what you're good at, what what you like doing. And then he just sort of leads the rest of us to say, this is the direction I think we need to go. And we make mistakes. Everyone on the team makes mistakes. But he's definitely the type of guy that says, hey, I'd rather move forward than stand still and, wait for perfect. And so let's keep moving. Let's keep moving forward and get it done and do the best we can right now, learn from that and do better in the next step. And, after you've worked for several people, you really appreciate that and a leader. And Jack's that guy, but he's also chill. He's also, I meet with a lot of pool guys. He's just like them. He has the same personality, hardworking, smart, takes their job seriously, but likes to enjoy life.
I told my wife, I was like, this is really cool. I'm taking my first business trip where I'm packing nothing but shorts. I really like this new gig.
It's probably all the 4 major states. That's all you'll need ever.
That's right.
Yeah, you wear shorts all year long here.
Yeah, I think I own like 2 pairs of pants. So
If I see Tyler in pants, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Are we going to a funeral or something?
Right, exactly. Funeral or wedding?
yeah.
What's the occasion?
Yeah, I've been inviting customers to lunch and dinner, and they'll go, "Hey, let's go to this restaurant," and I go, "Oh, that's a nice restaurant," and they're like, "Yeah, if we need to dress up or whatever," and I'm like, "I'll be the guy in the nice shorts." That's my dress up, and
Long socks.
Yeah, well, no socks. The nice shorts and no socks, and that's what I love about this industry. And us, Jack is like, "Hey, Kevin, when are you coming back to Austin?" I'm like, "You know what? I think I need to go to Southern California and Vegas and Florida." And it's not just because of the locations. It is really because of the people. Just like I said with eBay is when that woman said, "You changed my life," not me, but the platform, what it does change their lives. I'm hearing the same thing from Skimmer customers. You've changed everything in my business. My life is so much better now that I use Skimmer. And that's what we dig into and talk to them about is what made it better? How does it help you? And the comments we get are, "Oh, it saves me so much time." Or I always thought, I'd just be a one-poler, just do my own thing, one-man company. But once I started using Skimmer, I realized, you know what? I think I could manage one more person. And then I hired that person and I realized I could do 2 more. I could do 3 more. I can do 4 more. And a lot of these companies now that started out as the one poler that switched over to Skimmer now have 10 techs working for them. And the most beautiful thing about it is they'll say, "But my life isn't more complicated. It's still simple to manage." And that's why they're fanatics about Skimmer. And that's why I meet with them every day to figure out, okay, how do we make it better? What are the parts that need a little polishing? What other features could we add to save you even more time? And they've got lots of ideas.
Yeah. What is some of the most recent feedback you've gotten on their favorite features that has been helping their business? Because I know when we had Brothers, we used another software, Skimmer, I don't think was around yet. I'm not sure. But I remember we felt the same way where there was a lot of different products to make this business go, but it's like the software was that thing that you were just most connected to, good and bad. You know what I mean? But it's something that you're just using 24/7, that when you're at the trade shows and you're all these different things, like you can't wait to like go see them. And maybe you've got some notes about, hey, can you do this? But also thank you, because the software is like, at the end of the day, that'll make or break you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the biggest feedbacks, and when I was riding in a truck and being a pool guy for the day, or at least trying to help out.
You did a real ride along.
Yeah, I did. It was really good. And what I found was there's not a lot of focus on the app, right? The focus is on their job, and that's what you want. Anytime you use software, you don't want the person to have to focus on the software. You want them to focus on what they're trying to accomplish with the software. And what I noticed is he didn't pull out the app that often, but when he did, it was very much, click, 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 enter that in. You know what? I need to do this. I'm going to leave a note. I'm going to put a little extra note on this because she had a note out regarding something about the pool that she wanted me to look at. But instead of having to do anything manual or pull out a pen and paper, he just typed it right into Skimmer, hit send, and he was done. And if that had to do with, I think she needs this, I'm going to leave her a note, and then I'm going to double check this. It was all recorded in Skimmer. And so the next time he visits, it's taken care of. He doesn't have to remember. So I think the biggest feedback is nothing really falls through the cracks anymore. I just do it as I'm there and it's done. And whether it's they need a part for next time or she wanted me to do something special or I need to add it to the checklist, I just do it while I'm there, and it just takes a few seconds to do it.
Yeah.
We went to one pool and, the woman had left at least 5 notes around her pool, like check this and make sure you do this or whatever. And, the guy I was with, he was like, yeah, she's just a note leaver, type of person. But what was cool about it was with Skimmer, he took pictures of each one of her notes and put a little caption on them, like to respond to them. Right. And then he just took all the notes with him, and threw them away. And of course, when he sent the service email that automatically was sent right after he left, there was her pool, and then there were all her notes with his comments,
Yeah.
and she felt,
That's
I'm
pretty
sure
cool.
she felt heard, right? And that he looked at them, he responded to them, but he was done as soon as he got into the truck,
Sure.
right? And he could move on. He didn't have to remember, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to send her an email? I got to make sure I don't forget. None of that. It was all done. And we were off to the next stop.
That's awesome. Better be careful. There's going to be twice as many notes next time. Ooh, I like
Right,
this.
right.
This is awesome.
Yeah. This is great.
I think I remember there's a moment when you don't have control anymore over what's happening. You get so many pools, and then you start forgetting things, and that's where I think the software makes such a huge difference, right? Because I remember the exact moment around 100 pools when I told him, like, I can't remember things anymore. I'm starting to miss things, and like that's when we started looking for software. But like that's really what it's about, is being able to control it, not feeling like you're out of control.
Exactly. And that's the feedback we get as well, is a lot less stress.
Right.
So, when things don't fall through the cracks, and that the app is keeping track of everything, and that your texts just have to open up the app in the morning, click the button, and it says, here's your first stop. Are you ready to go? Right. And they just click the address, and it gives them directions. And when they get there, they just grab their phone, put it in the back pocket, grab their stuff, and head into the backyard. Some people will say, well, the software's so great, you don't have to really think about it, right? There's two sides of that. One is the, pool professionals are thinking about a lot of things when they're walking into that backyard. The one thing they should not be thinking about is their software.
If it's going to work,
right,
or not. Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think the beautiful thing about Skimmer is, and where it's going is, that's our approach. We want to simplify your life. We don't want you to think about the app, and we certainly don't want you to think about whether it's going to work or what it can or can't do. We want you to think about your business, and that it enhances your business. It makes your life easier. And at the end of the day, you live in your life not thinking about the next day, and focused on the logistics of all the things that you and all your techs are going to need to do. And do you have everything you need? And is anything falling through the cracks? And more importantly, am I billing for everything that we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's another side of it, which is, and I've seen a shift in just in the 8 months I've been in the industry, is sort of the expectations that pool owners have. They're evolving rapidly too, to where there's an expectation of professionalism that probably didn't exist 5 years ago. And that, by the way, in 5 years, it's going to be a lot even bigger than it is now. But, when you talk about these pool owners want to be able to get an email that says, show me pictures of my pool. They want to be able to pay quickly on their phones or whatever the feature might be. But I think you're seeing that across the industry. So we've gotten a lot of feedback from our customers that say, thank you, because you've enabled us to show that professionalism that we weren't able to do prior to using Skimmer.
They want to know that what they're paying for, right? They want to see
sure.
what they're paying for, where instead of someone in the backyard for 5 minutes and they don't ever see them, right? So
for sure,
you're able to see exactly what you're paying for. And, there's this huge thing with the industry right now about raising your prices.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ready to raise your prices, you got to have stuff to back that up. You can't just magically raise your prices.
That's right.
You got to show that level of professionalism.
Yeah, I think, you're saying some people think that, the software does, most of the work. I think with everything that Skimmer allows you to do, I would take that really serious, because there's so many things you can do, but there's so many, stats that come along with it. And, if this was our team, it would be nice to be able to review these things at, say, the end of the month, where you could go over with your service manager. It's like your team of technicians, installed X amount of products, and we made, $20,000. You went $5,000 over our goal. Way to go. You're going to get, this spiff or whatever it may be. Like, it allows you to do all these different things so that you can kind of plug that stuff into, say, the technicians, where it's like, let's start setting goals. And now you can actually see when you're, reaching those goals, and, just all the things that come along with it, which I feel like we haven't been able to do that before, but all the things that this is able to do, there's so many different types of goals, because it really is, it's, we're trying to back off chlorine tablets. We're just trying to get levels, at a certain point financially, and maybe with chemistry. but you can actually see all that data. And I feel like a team of technicians and a service manager would love to see those types of things, see that they're making a difference, but it's probably nice to be able to reflect on what you've done. Sometimes we just do things for so long and you don't even know what you did, especially a pool guy that is doing the same thing every single day. And it's like, dude, what am I doing? But someone tells you like, dude, you cleaned, 500 pools this month. You made the business X amount. You did this, you did that, you did this. Like, really? Like, that's freaking cool. Like,
yeah, that's a great point. I mean, there's a lot of activity happening on the platform within each company. Jack and I were just talking yesterday. To date, there's been over 13 million pool stops completed using Skimmer.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, right?
13 million?
13 million. So if you break that down across all of our customers, and which is over 420,000 pools that's in the system, right? And then you break it down by almost 13,000 users, right? And most of those are techs, right? Out using our software today. You're right. There's a lot of activity there that we should be sharing with them at the admin level first. And then if the owner wants to share that to their techs, is to give them some sort of update. And we were talking about what are we going to do with the dashboard, or what kind of information can we give the companies so they can glance at the dashboard and really know what's going on from an activity standpoint, not only in the past, but what's upcoming, and really have every business needs a scoreboard. It's sort of like, I'm a big fan of Keith Cunningham. He wrote the book, The Road Less Stupid, right? And if you haven't read it, you got to pick it up. And what's key about it is he's like, imagine playing a sport, and let's say football, for example, right? And there's spectators and the players on the field, but there's no scoreboard. How confusing it would be. But most businesses...
Nobody would like it.
Yeah, but why wouldn't they like it, Greg?
Because nobody wins.
No one would know what's happening.
Yeah,
no one would,
competition.
It actually would be exciting. You would love the competition. You would still love the event. But what happens,
like being on Instagram and
you don't
there's
know where
no likes.
You don't know where you are.
Follows.
You don't know where you stand. And when you do, that's when it becomes exciting. And the scoreboard and how much time is left and all the things, if you think about what's on the scoreboard, really drives also the strategy of the game at certain points of the game. And we need to do the same thing with the Skimmer dashboard, is we need to make it that exciting. Like, where are you? One of our customers said, most of the guys I know and the people that I meet with and we have coffee or we have lunch, they're focused on cash flow. They don't even think about their profitability. And yet Skimmer's got profitability reports and can show you by customer which customers are your most profitable, which customers are you losing money on. In some cases, you may want to lose money on a customer. I mean, that customer may be your hub and have referred 15 other customers to you. That's okay, right? You can lose money on that particular customer because he or she talks about you to everyone they know and how great you are. But you don't want to do that on all your customers, right? It's not just about cash flow, it's about profitability. But when you're working all day and you're exhausted at the end of the day, it's tough to think about that, right? And you focus on being an operator instead of on being an owner. And that's one thing that Jack is driving within the company is we make operators more efficient, but we've got to get our owners, our customers to think like owners, not operators all the time. And that makes them more successful. And when they're more successful, we'll be more successful.
Yeah, I love that scoreboard style. I feel like there's a lot of service industry entrepreneurs, the ones that have really crushed it, they share everything with their team members. And that way they feel like they have ownership in the company. So when they're, sharing like how much we made this week, this month, this quarter, this year, what our goals are, same thing this month, this year, whatever it may be, you get the team on board, they're more likely to go, they have ownership. They want to go, sell more. They want to go get more reviews on Yelp and Google. They want to, flag down the neighbor like, hey, what's up? They're going to be more likely to do that. And we have to do a better job of that because it's getting more difficult to find, quality employees instead of having this mentality that, yeah, this is a good job for, somebody in, elementary school. They're just trying to, do whatever, like, no, this should be like a career, like nail this because you need to start here, learn everything there is about taking care of a pool and taking care of the homeowner. And then maybe you'll advance into doing repairs and admin, marketing. There's all kinds of different things that you can do, but this is where you truly have to start. But I think in having that scoreboard, that's huge.
Yeah, we've gotten that feedback. I would say, if I'm being honest, I'd say we're good right now with respect to the data that we have for our customers. But we're not perfect. We'll never be perfect, but we're not as good as we want to be. And that's what when Kevin's talking about building out dashboards and maybe even making them customizable, because you might want to see certain data that somebody else in Florida wants to see totally different data. But being able to have that data, we have the data now. We just have to figure out a way to present it to each of our customers. And so you'll see a lot of, I think, evolution in Skimmer over the next 12 months there.
I think that would be really cool in making like things a little bit easier. I think for us, we always wanted to know how our technicians felt, mentally. And if there was a way that like the customer wouldn't see it, but like rated the pool, like, how do you feel about this pool? Like, is it the pool? Is it the customer? Like just a quick button where it's like a happy face or a frustrated face emoji or whatever it may be, but letting us know, kind of where your head's at, where we can we're not only reviewing, the P&L and all these different things that we need to do, but, the technician is just as important in their, mental wellness and staying on top of, all those different things. So
totally agree. And that was one of the things Kevin said to me 2 weeks ago. He said, it's crazy to think that our customers have no idea how long a stop is going to take because they don't know what condition that pool is going to be in. And Kevin compared it. Imagine if you went to a meeting and had all day long, you had no idea how long your meetings were going to last. Like that sucks. Yeah. And so, we took that on ourselves to say, how do we solve that problem? And your suggestion's a great one. Like figure out, let the techs rate these pools so that, going into it, oh man, I've got a crappy pool coming up. 2 out of 3 times this thing is a mess and it's going to take me an hour to clean. But, having more of that data and visibility, I think would be game changers for our customers.
Yeah. And being able to give real feedback faster so that they're not like, I don't want to type out how I feel at this pool. I can't get out of here unless I say I am happy or sad.
Swipe left or swipe right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. Definitely on that.
But that helps with like routing too. And like you're saying, if a pool is going to be 45 minutes plus, like a real good owner would then know, like, I can't give this person 18 pools that day. I have to do 14 that day, right? Instead of now you could just stack it on and stack it on. You're making that technician's day horrible. Like if you have pools that are going to take that long, you can adjust kind of how you route from there, or you should be doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, when we had our business, we start seeing those trees blowing around.
Yeah.
We'd be calling each other like, all right, I wonder who's calling out tomorrow. And
what's the plan of when somebody does?
Right.
Yeah, who's cleaning what pools is going to be a all day thing, like, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, that aluminum pole got pretty heavy by the end of the day.
I bet.
It was a lot of respect. When we went into the pools that day, it was every pool was a different adventure. One pool we walk into the backyard and get the lowdown as we would walk in. It's like, all right, this dog is it seems aggressive, but it's a big baby, so don't worry about it, right? And we'd walk in, and here comes this big husky, and this looks like it just wants to tear you apart, and then all of a sudden its tail's wagging, and the guy I was with is pulling a treat out of his pocket and handing it to the dog, and that's sort of the routine, right? That's what the dog expects. Another one, we went and we walked into the backyard, and the woman walked out on her deck, and she had 10 pieces of paper printed from the internet. Like, hey, I just wanted to check. It says on the internet that you don't need to use chlorine. There's some other options, and he's nicely, trying to explain, well, tell me what you're thinking. What do you want to accomplish? Well, what I want is I don't want a lot of chemicals, and he took a lot of time with her to make sure she understood there's a balance, right? If you want a clear pool, there's certain things you have to do, and there are a lot of options, but here's some things you need to think about. He educated her on a few things, and she definitely felt hurt by him, right? And he knew what he was doing. And then we go to the next pool, sparkling clean, like no one had touched it, which probably was the case, no one had been in it since the last visit. It just looked perfect. My pool, when I had 4 kids that were toddlers, my pool was trashed at the end of every day, right? And so I'm pretty sure I had to have an extra large filter put on my pool because we used it so much. But yeah, I'm sure my pool guy came back there, and my trees were just blowing leaves everywhere. But I'd always tell him, hey, don't do the leaves off the pool. I like to do that. That's my meditative time. I like to go out and just kind of skim the pool.
You got it.
He loved you. Yeah,
right.
Take deep
You need a
breaths.
job?
Yeah. But that was my way also to get out of the house when we had 4 toddlers running around screaming.
Oh yeah.
And the dog and I would be out there. But my point of that is that each pool is different and each pool is used to a different extent every week. And sometimes, there's a party, and sometimes, you have the whole family over and you walk into the sparkling pool one day. Next week, that pool is trashed or is getting close to even a greenish type of color. And what's changed is the amount of activity that's occurred in the pool, or the weather, or something has happened, that's fallen into the pool, whatever it is. And, as Jack was saying, imagine that in the business world where you had no idea how long each meeting was going to take, and try to plan your day. But more importantly, your life. Like, what time am I getting off today? What time is my day ending?
Yeah.
And when it's 110 degrees outside, that's a big deal.
I always laugh at that part in the skimmer when I see like estimated time and it says 15 minutes. I'm like 60. Try to figure it. I know why it's trying to route you and tell you, but every time I saw 15 minutes, I'm like,
Well, that's a setting.
It's a default setting.
Can, you can actually change that if you like. But
it just made me laugh every time I'd see it. It automatically just puts 15 minutes in there.
It's a good point, though. If you're actually tapping it when you start and tapping it when you end pretty religiously, we could do a better job of estimating the times that each pool actually takes. And that's good feedback. We should definitely look at that to see if there's a better way to estimate, because some pools are going to always take more time. And they shouldn't be sitting at 15-minute default when, you've serviced it 15 times and it's always 30 minutes, right?
I think it's still good to
change it.
Try and forecast how long these are going to take. And I think if you're being real with yourself on what the average time it takes at a pool, and you can kind of do your best to put a time on that pool, then you could be mindful of that. Because I think, you're doing the same thing day in, day out. You can lollygag a little bit, and maybe that will help you know that I need to be here for 20 minutes. I don't need to be, doing anything extra. I need to be doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I need to get out, because you kind of want a sense of, I start at 6 or 7 in the morning and I get off at around 2 or 3 or whatever it may be. And it's like, in order to do that, I'm allotting so much time at these pools. It's 20 minutes at this pool, hour at that pool, 15 here. I take a lunch, at this time, and I give myself, 30 minutes for lunch, and then so on and so forth. So I think in having it planned out, because I also think that we don't really do that. You're kind of your own boss when you're out there cleaning pools. Like, some are really good. We had guys that just smashed on it because they wanted to get done, and others are just kind of chilling, man.
Cleaning pools at 6 p.m. while people are eating dinner.
Yeah. No, we're good, boss. I don't mind being back here. I care.
Yeah.
And so do they.
Yeah.
I know you don't know because you've never had a pool, but it's not okay to be back there in the middle of the frickin' night and get your ass shot.
We're going to take another quick break. When we get back, Kevin and Jack discuss tagging and mass emails, as well as what action the Skimmer team takes when they hear your ideas. This episode of the Pool Chasers podcast is brought to you by CCH. CCH is your pool and spa chlorination solutions for backyards, hotels, apartments, condos, and athletic facilities. Their lineup of cyanuric-free disinfection solutions help bathers enjoy a sparkling, clean pool experience. No trichlor? No problem. Research shows it can take 6 times the amount of water to keep CYA in recommended ranges using trichlor as compared to water needed to keep CCH in recommended ranges with calcium hypochlorite. With an easy load cartridge to control dosing and a drain port to prevent spills, their new CCH Endurance Feeders is easy to install and service. Using a slow-dissolved calcium hypochlorite tablet, It offers the convenience of traditional tricolor feeder systems, but with the benefits of a non-stabilized cow hypo system. It's a CYA-free, no-drip, slow-dissolve, low-maintenance alternative for residential and commercial pool chlorination. To find out more, listen to episode 153 of the podcast, visit cchpoolcare.com, or click the link below.
So you guys have released several big updates over the last few months. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So the biggest one is broadcast emails. So what that means is our customers can now send mass emails to any of their customers. And we actually kind of released that in tandem with something called tags. So our customers can create a custom tag for customers that they service on Tuesdays, or customers that have a certain pump that's going to the warranty is expiring, or whatever. However they want to create these different segments of their customers, they can send emails to them. And for example, saying, "Hey, Johnny's going to be out on Tuesday, so Sam is going to be working your route," or whatever the use case. It's actually kind of fun. We are able to see how they're using these different emails, and they're very creative. And we've gotten a ton of feedback on it, being like, "Wow, this is just another great feature." I talked about the professionalism in the industry earlier. It's like our customers love these emails that we're now able to send to them beforehand or after the fact, and so we've gotten a lot of good feedback from our customers on that.
Yeah, I think when you have somebody that calls out sick, or you have holidays, or you have that stuff, like I remember we had to like individually email people, or that just takes so long. And I think that's a really cool feature. We've talked about tagging a couple of different times, but there's a lot that you can do where you can select them if they have a salt pool, or you can select them if they have a single speed pump and you want to upgrade it, or they have a heater and no heater. There's a lot of tags you can put in on the initial bids, which will help kind of for upselling at that time. But then, yeah, even just a simple stuff like that, if someone calls out and you got to move it, like letting somebody know that a new technician is going to be in their backyard, whether they read the email or not,
That's
like
right.
that's the professional thing to do, and I think most people don't do that now because it's too difficult. But if you can just click one button, like this route Tuesday, like send this email, like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
Yeah, and it's cool in any software automating things. If you have that this customer is tagged as seasonal, that you can kind of put together that template seasonal email that says, "Hey, just a reminder, we're switching back to bi-weekly service on November 1st," or whatever it may be, because I'm sure you can schedule all those different things. So, man, these are tagged seasonal, and you could just do it that way. So it's making money if there's some new deal out there, but also if you just need to make people aware of something, that's great too. So many different things that you can do with that. That's probably, I'd say, my favorite feature for sure.
Yeah, I think the big thing that people are planning to do these days is with the single speed, variable speed pump, with the big Department of Energy actions occurring where manufacturers no longer can put those into the market, the single speed pumps.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be big, because, with everything in the news about being green and not using as much energy. And I remember thinking, this is years ago, thinking, wow, my pool pump and all that equipment is just running constantly, right, to get everything clean. I was like, this is using so much electricity. And I think anyone that has a pool and actually uses it a lot or pays attention realizes it does run a lot, and it should be you should have the most efficient equipment possible, and you can save a lot of money with the new variable speed pumps. And so communicating that, it's going to be one of those, not everyone switches overnight. It's definitely going to be a constant, hey, did you know you could save thousands of dollars, if you switch to a variable speed pump? And that constant communication and putting a tag on, taking that tag off, and anything else that might be unique to that customer. That's another way also to hack Skimmer, kind of in quotes, hack Skimmer, where maybe it's a field that we don't currently enable you to capture, but you create a tag for it. Enough people create that tag. We can look at those, all the tags being created, and figure out, we should probably capture that field. I bet everybody would want to capture that field, and then figure out a way how that would be useful. While at the same time, you can continue to use the tags, but we can add that as a new feature as we see those things emerge.
Yeah, and I think if it were me, I would tag the zip code as well. Utilize the, say, like Pentair's calculator. It's asking zip code, and it's going to generate how much a variable speed pump might cost to a single speed pump, where you can say all these pools are A5260, single speed pump, yada, yada, yada. There could be an email for everybody in A5260, and that's probably going to have a better open rate because it's going to be, you're paying way too much your single speed in A5260. Not saying it's that, be a little bit more friendly, but you can, tailor this email that can go out to a mass of 50 to 100 people in this zip code, and you can give them some real, stats on their single speed pump and what they're paying, because, like Pentair, and I know a lot of other companies do that, but taking that calculator information and then kind of plugging it in and letting them know that you can do that type of work. So I think there's a ton of really groovy ways to use it. So you get your monies.
As I think back, it's been a really interesting time for us to really jump into Skimmer when we did, being in Austin, where these ice storms, you guys all read about that. But I mean, the city, all of Texas just got crushed. And if we didn't have tags and mass emails then, and I wish we would have, because our pool guys, and not just our customers, every pool guy needed to be able to communicate with these pool owners, and they couldn't, and it sucked that we weren't ready. I mean, we were almost there, but we weren't. But also just getting all of the stories that have come out of there, where nobody can get supplies and parts aren't there. Like, it's been really eye opening for us as a team at Skimmer to say, hey, we've got to figure out ways to solve these problems. And next time there's an ice storm or whatever it is, like, let's be ready for that, and let's make sure that our guys have the tools they need to do their jobs.
What features can you put in that email? Like, can you attach a video? I mean, like, say like a YouTube, like a embedded code or something. Can you put that on there?
You can do a lot with it. It's a pretty powerful editor. You can personalize it, with your customer's name, first name.
You can do hyperlinks, I believe.
Yeah, you can definitely put links in it, but I'm not sure you can embed a video. But it's just something we'll take a look at.
Yeah, just thinking about personalizing it. So you say, hello, maybe it's a picture of you saying stuff, but that's really good because those are things that you want to save. Anytime that there's some kind of event like that, maybe it's never happened before, but save that template. If it happens again, at least you have something. There's enough things going on in your business at that time, and crafting the right email to all of your customers is insanely time consuming. So, actually saving those, and it's probably good to go through the archive and see, what emails work best, even letting customers go. Maybe there's, phrasing or an email that was, best for these people, but you can just kind of, have all these, ready to go, make your life a little bit easier. And the cool thing is, just like everything else we've been talking about, it's like being all in one place. That's so awesome. Because usually it's like, it's QuickBooks, and then it's like Google Drive, and then,
MailChimp.
5 Google Docs, and then MailChimp. Like, there's like a million things going on, but being able to be in a dashboard and then start of, jump around, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love the way you guys think because, we've, like Greg said earlier, have interactions with all kinds of software companies and different things. And you tell them something like, yeah, that's cool. And they just like, no, they're not going to ever do it or ever think about doing it. And, even when he brings up something to you, you're like, yeah, we'll look into it. Like, I believe you when you say that, because it's like, we've been around you guys enough now to know that you take everything serious and you actually listen to everybody. It's really cool that you incorporate all of your backgrounds and bring it into this industry, because that's definitely needed.
Well, that's what makes a difference with any company is when people will say, well, the customer isn't always right. And, I think every pool professional would agree, not every customer is always right, but they do have a point and they do have an angle, and they are saying what they believe is true. It may not necessarily be what we need to do or what they need, but there's a problem. There is an issue and there's a frustration. And I think that's why Jack asked me to hit the road, was get out there and find out. We know that we have a lot of people out there that love Skimmer, but why? And how could it be better? And listen to them and figure out, what else do we need? Not what do they want? What would be nice? What's the first thing that comes to their mind? But what is it that they need to make their lives easier, simpler, make the software easier? And that's what we're doing is, I'll send him, hey, just had a great meeting. Here's all the bullets. Here's all the ideas that this particular person had. And he'll read it and he'll go, man, this is a lot of content. This is a lot of new ideas. And then, a few days later, we're chatting about it, and it's really about distilling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's taking this bulk and distilling it down to what is the essence of what we need to add. Because the key to Skimmer is keeping it simple, right? It needs to be reliable. It needs to be secure. It needs to be fast. It needs to be simple. And when you follow that type of pattern, it really drives what you add and what you don't add to the software. And so you might say, I can't believe they haven't added this, or when are you going to add this? It's not that we haven't thought about that or put that on the roadmap. It's about taking something that seems simple, right? That's actually complicated and sophisticated in the background, and presenting it to you, the pool professional, as simple, right?
Right.
And it's very simple to use. And that takes a little bit more time to do it. And that's exactly what we're doing with billing and payments. Is we've looked around and we've seen what the industry is doing. We know what pool professionals are using for billing and payments. We know that some like QuickBooks, some hate QuickBooks, some use other applications to process their billing and payments. And what we've said is we're going to launch billing and payments, but it's going to be simple and it's going to be easy to use. And we're going to continue to make it better and better and better. We will have the best billing and payments platform for pool professionals on Skimmer. We have to, right? We have over 2,200 customers now that depend on us every day of the week, or at least Monday through Friday for most customers. But, and everything in there is simple, and billing and payments needs to be simple as well. And so, when you talk about, we were talking earlier about our banks or financial accounts or anything that affects our monies, it not only has to be simple, but it better be secure and it better be right. Yeah. And we take that very seriously as well with the testing. And that's why we're doing the alpha testing and the beta testing, because we know we're not there. And we know the people out in the field know exactly what they need, and they'll spot it immediately what we might be missing or what we need to add or how we need to make it better. And so that's why I'm out having, I walk out of my hotel every morning and or in the afternoon, and I'll say, oh, I'm headed off to Topgolf. It's a terrible life to the person at the front desk. And she'll say, why do you go to Topgolf every afternoon? I said, well, it's kind of funny. We're meeting our customers out there. We get there and it looks like we're about to play golf, but we end up sitting at the table talking about Skimmer for an hour. And they want to make sure we talk about all of that first. And then they're like, all right, let's pick up the clubs and let's hit some golf balls or have a burger or whatever.
It's like, have you ever had their nachos? That's what I'm doing there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's amazing, right? You meet with these young guys, you meet with these older guys, you meet with, and not just guys, but gals, it's the whole gambit, right? And they do want to make sure they're heard and that they get their points across as far as what they really feel like they need Skimmer to do and what we need to add. But then they want to tell you about, sort of like the eBay story. They want to tell you about their life and how they got started. And, one of our customers used to be a senior vice president of marketing at a health insurance company. And he's given me a feedback on the brand and our logo and hey, you guys know exactly how many guys how many miles my techs have driven. Why don't you just tell me? Why do you make me add it up? And I was like, that's a great idea. And so I'm getting them on video as well when they're saying these ideas, and I'm sharing it with the team on Slack because, when Kevin and Jack say, what we need to do, this is what we need to add to Skimmer, it's just a statement, right? But when our customers are on video saying, you guys know how many miles my techs have driven, why can't you just add it up for me and give it to me? It makes a difference to the chief technical officer. It makes a difference to the person who's coding that, right? They know that they can look at that person and see that was a lot of passion. They're serious. There was a little frustration. They were being funny, but they're also being very serious. Like, save me some more time. I use this because it saves me time. Save me more time, right? I have a lot to do in my business. And that's one thing that Jack and I were talking about the other day is we have so much data in Skimmer. How do we take that data and create calculations and create dashboards, like you said, Greg, is give them information about what they've accomplished, what's going on, what's the score, in their scoreboard. Are they making money? Here's here's your cash flow, here's your profitability, but do it in a simple way that everyone from the person who just started to the person who's been using Skimmer for over 5 years understands immediately, day one when we launch it. And so that's the polishing and the roadmap care that we take before we launch something. And that really comes from Ron, the founder. He definitely had that discipline. And that's something that Jack and I share, is we just don't want to push something out just to get a feature out and say that we did it. It needs to go out, and people, when they start using it, they say, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Ron. I was thinking about that when you were talking about new features and how do we know what we should be building. That was one of the, when I started at Skimmer, I had a lot of anxiety about, man, I don't know anything about cleaning pools. How can I be running this company? And I talked to Ron about that, and he kind of joked. He said, Jack, do you think I do? He goes, we've got at the time 1,500 customers that are the experts. All you have to do is just learn how to listen to them. And it was a really comforting and really, spot on statements. Like, that's right. So why, I don't have to be the expert. We've got 2,200 of them now. And we've got a team, obviously, that knows how to build software, and we're doing a good job. But if you just listen to the customers, like that's your product roadmap right there.
Yeah. But having patience as well. I think as time goes on, you both are very, smart guys, and you work with smart people. That I think with all that data and all the networking that you're doing, you might be figuring out that there is a better way of, pool maintenance. Because I can tell you right now, you have a lot more patience than I do. I would not be able to do what you do, because people would be like, you need to do this. I'm like, do you know how to do it? No. Well, then shut the hell up. I'm not putting every freaking idea that you guys have on here because it will look like madness. Like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I don't have that kind of patience where you are taking things in and reacting like, oh, that is a good idea. Let us, kind of think about it, and trying to have balance to it, because it needs to be intuitive and look good, and it needs to be simple. And that's not I tip my hat to, software like Skimmer and anybody else that can make things extremely powerful, and it can do a lot, but it does look and feel simple. Like you can, just do these things like easily, but they're actually pretty complex under the hood.
Well, Kevin just mentioned payments, and that was our learning when we just launched payments to a handful of customers. It works, and it's functionally, it's exactly what it needs to be. It wasn't pretty, and it wasn't intuitive, and it just wasn't up to kind of Skimmer standards. And so we hit pause, and we're making it better. And it will be the biggest feature that we launch, maybe in the history of Skimmer, at the risk of sounding a little dramatic, but it's going to be a game changer for, I think, the entire industry. And so we really do want it to get it perfect. So, by, call it late summer, I think you'll see it in live and production, and it's going to be awesome. But we're not going to cut corners. We're going to make it pretty. We're going to make it functional, and make sure that the customers agree.
Yeah. And that's something that, as soon as you told us, we are extremely excited about it, because that was always a huge pain point in our business, mostly Tyler's life.
All right. Well, we've reached our last break. When we get back, we take a deep dive into the features and functionalities of billing and payments, as well as the new Skimmer Mobile and elevating the industry. This episode of the Pool Chasers podcast is brought to you by PoolRx. Well, summer is approaching fast, and we all know that means the chlorine demand for pools is going to go up, right? But did you know that PoolRx can help reduce that demand? When we were running Brothers Pool Service, we put them in every one of our pools, and it not only helped reduce our chlorine usage, but it also acted as an insurance policy for those extremely hot days or pool parties that your customer forget to tell you about. Let me tell you a little bit more about the product. PoolRx eliminates and prevents all types of algae, reduces chlorine demand, and lasts up to 6 months. With PoolRx, there is no need for phosphate removers, clarifiers, or other algicides. When using PoolRx, you will see high-definition water clarity. I mean, the pools just pop. Check them out at your favorite distributor nationwide, and make sure you ask for the 4-packs to get the best price per unit. If you want to find out more about the product and how it can reduce your chlorine usage this summer, check out episode 142, visit PolarX.com, or click the link below.
So maybe we could talk about where things are at right now with, billing and payments and, what this is going to do.
Yeah. So today our customers, they use Skimmer for everything except when it comes time to do their invoicing. We have a feature and it works well. It exports all the data to QuickBooks or to QuickBooks Online, and then they generate the invoices from QuickBooks. The export, again, it works well, but it's just one more program that people have to use and pay for, by the way. And so what we're trying to do is replace QuickBooks from that, so that now, once we go live, you will be able to send an invoice to the pool owner via Skimmer. So you won't have to export anything. It goes directly from Skimmer. And then that pool owner is going to be able to click on his or her phone and just hit pay right there, or to set up a recurring credit card payment, or to bill ahead. All of our customers have given us a lot of feedback on, hey, money's the most important thing to them. So we got to make sure that we're offering everything that they currently do. Is it bill ahead? Is it card on file? Is it recurring payment? Or I want to invoice for service routinely, but I want to send separate invoices for repairs. And all these different sort of use cases, we're going to be able to do all of that from within Skimmer, so that, again, they won't have to use any sort of third-party billing software. And we're partnering with Stripe, which is cutting-edge payments. And so they've got all these, they've got a team of thousands of developers, and every day they're getting better and better and better. And so we're going to be able to leverage everything that Stripe is building and offer that within Skimmer Pay.
Very cool. And that's, just one more thing that you're going to be able to keep inside of Skimmer.
Yep.
So any kind of, data that you need to be able to see, you could just kind of do it all within Skimmer.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And the advantage of that is all the features and functionality is within Skimmer, but the security and the data that really needs to be kept secure is on Stripe, right? And they're much more resources and ability to keep all that secure, and they do that for millions of companies, around the world. And so they focus on that every day, right? Is making sure that the data is secure and everything that's happening processes in microseconds, while we're able to leverage that platform and make everything that pool professionals do easier and what relates to billing and payments, whereas Stripe powers all the complicated, financial side of processing those transactions and making sure that everything works 24/7.
Yeah, Stripe wasn't the best deal because how these credit card companies work or payments companies, they charge you a lot of money to process all these transactions. And so we interviewed probably 6 or 7 different payments providers. Stripe was not even close to the best deal for us, and it cost us a ton of money to develop into it, but it was by far and away just the best user experience. And we just thought, hey, we've got to be consistent with what Skimmer, the brand, is. And so we partnered with Stripe. And again, we're kind of betting on the future with them. They get better every day, and the new features. At some point, we're going to be able to offer loans to our customers, and their customers will be able to finance. Hey, I need a $4,000, new pump, and they'll be able to finance that on Skimmer Pay. We're not there yet, but that's the type of thing that, because we're partnering with Stripe, we'll be able to offer in the future.
Yeah, I think that's what people want, like convenience. Don't want to be all over the place to do one thing. It's like, how can we keep everything like right here?
Yeah.
Just do what we need to do.
Well, imagine sending a bill to your customer for, as Jack said, $4,000, and you've already talked to them about it. They receive it, but instead of saying just pay, it says, you can finance this with the click of a button. You'll get approved within seconds, right? Or you'll get a decision. You click that button and it says, yeah, you can pay this over X amount of time, and here's what we're going to charge you. And they go, yeah, I want to do that. The pool professional gets their $4,000, right? The customer gets their new equipment or whatever that paid for, and everyone's happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The customer got to pay the way they wanted to pay, and the pool professional got paid completely, all up front, right?
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep.
So talk about the functionality a little bit more with it. So what Skimmer does now, let's say if you're entering chemicals or parts or things like that, how's it going to kind of end up on the bill, like at the end of the month?
Well, today with Skimmer today using QuickBooks and exporting your invoices to QuickBooks, that all flows through. Those are actually options. You can decide whether, for example, if you're doing a service that includes chemicals or plus chemicals, or if you want to show that detail on your invoices. So today within Skimmer, when you export invoices to QuickBooks, you click a few buttons, you go through the wizard and decide how you want that displayed. You sort of click a few buttons, and then all your invoices are ready to be reviewed. If you want to review them individually, some will show the detail of all the chemicals and all the things that you did, or some will just roll up and say, it's weekly service, and this is what you're being charged for the month. That will be a similar process, billings and payments. The idea is that we're going to try to mimic that process as much as possible with the Skimmer Pay billing and invoicing, mainly because we've trained, in quotes, our customers that use Skimmer today and export to QuickBooks to go through that process. And so if it's a similar process, they'll know exactly what to do once the new platform is ready.
Well, it's going to be nice to have it within the one platform, though, because, unless you have QuickBooks and Skimmer exact mirroring each other, like, I know there's a lot of stuff that gets in that transfer that gets weird, and you still have to go through and manually, like, check every invoice. At least I had to do that. Make sure that it, like, goes through and, like, oh yeah, that looks right. It looks proper, and I can hit send. Like, there's like 4 steps to actually sending invoice. Whereas with this, if you are within Skimmer, you have it set up as like, this chlorine tab costs $1. This is, basket's $20. That gets on the invoice. Then when you run the invoices, you already know it's right. There's no data transferring. There's no, double checking everything. It's like this all happens within one thing.
Yeah, that's right. So. And that's the advantage for sure. I think one thing, when we talk to customers and they say, yeah, I can't wait to get off QuickBooks, right? I just use it for invoices and I export out the invoices. But one customer the other day said, okay, so when I do that, what happens to my QuickBooks history, my invoice history, right? And those are the types of comments that, when you get out and you meet with customers and you ask them, hey, do you think you'll switch over once we have Skimmer Pay and billing in app? And they're like, yeah, no brainer. I'm definitely going to do that, right? I want to do everything in Skimmer. But what happens to my QuickBooks invoice history? And just little comments like that helps build our roadmap. So when we do launch, they go, oh, I just click here and I can do QuickBooks history, invoice history, and import it, right? And move on. Mm-hmm. But it's those little things that if you don't listen or ask or say, okay, well, let's think about the day that you do that and you switch over to Skimmer and you stop using QuickBooks for invoices. What's everything do you expect to be in Skimmer? And, they go through the list, and generally it's everything that we've built. But every once in a while we get a surprise, or we get something, it'd be nice if I could retain this type of history. And so we've added that to the to-do list to review to see what would that take? Is that possible? And how can we make this a seamless transition as we can? So it just feels like, they're just taking the next step forward versus, oh, I'm using this new system. It's got this new process and I've got to change the way I do things. How can we keep them in the zone and just keep focused moving forward?
Yeah. And I love like the flexibility that it's going to have, it's pretty cool that you, like you said, Jack, that you can run just the service payments and you can do separate invoices for repairs and work orders and things like that. Like it's got to have that functionality, that flexibility, because that way, you're getting recurring invoices that are always the same. And then however you want to, that you are currently running your business, you can adapt that into what you're doing, right? You're not just going to force somebody to like, this is how Skimmer works. This is how you need to use it. It's going to be how are you using it now? And then let's work within that to figure out what's not much of a transition or a change for you.
Yeah, and we've definitely learned that a lot of our customers invoice different than one another. Yeah, everyone's got their own system. And that's the hard part with software, right? Is finding that middle ground. And here's an example, just in the, call it 5 calls I sat in on when we were testing it. One customer said, hey, it's really important that we list the service dates on the invoice. Another customer said, hey, it's really important that the service dates not show up on the invoice. Mm-hmm. Like, well, which way do we go there?
Yeah. And I think like you said, pre-billing, recurring invoices, credit cards on file, those, like you have those main functionalities. I think you'll be able to adapt it to most people's habits,
Yeah. Our head of engineering was adamant that we also accept Bitcoin. And I overruled on that one. I said, we're not there yet. So any of our customers who are listening who use Bitcoin, sorry, we're not going to be able to accommodate that.
At least it's on your radar.
Yeah, it's on there.
That's awesome. So Kevin, you kind of mentioned being here for, a month and talking to customers. What's next on your agenda? And tell us about the Skimmer wrap.
Yeah, well, the Skimmer Mobile.
Mobile.
Well, from going out to lunch and meeting with people, I realized there's pool service professionals everywhere. Everywhere I'm driving, everywhere I'm eating, having coffee. And, I called back to the office and Jack and I said, I'm getting the SUV wrapped. It's not a good use of time for, think of all the ad impressions I could be getting out on the road, just driving from point A to point B.
Right.
But the most exciting part is once I get to the destination, I start meeting with customers and they start digging into what we do well, what we could do better, and how they see the future and what we need to add to the roadmap. I think what's come from it, we could spend hours on that, Tyler, and talk about all the different features they want. But really, at the end of each meeting, what comes out of it is that our customer base, they're not just fans, they're fanatics. They really love it. And that's a good feeling when you walk away from that meeting, and someone has been able to tell you what they like, what they wish you had, what they hope is on the roadmap. Mm-hmm. But then before you leave, you get a sense, or you actually get a hug, you get a sense they want to hug you. Like, you've really helped me, right?
Yeah.
And you're the only physical person of the company I've ever met. So that they want to there's that kind of that embrace of thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Mm. And I feel that, whether it's just a fist pump or a handshake or whatever, I feel that we've made a difference. And that's one thing that, Jack really talks about is it's not just about the software. Right? He mentioned it earlier. It's about really elevating the industry and the people in the industry to accomplish whatever they believe they want to accomplish. And the simpler we make our software and the more features that we add to it without them having to take a class to learn how to use it, will enable them to do that. I'm a big believer in whatever you think you can do, or you'll at least get close, right? When you set your goals, like with Jack, I have goals in marketing and business development for Skimmer. He gives me a goal, and the first goal is, this is the must goal, right? The next goal is, this is the goal I really like you to meet. And then he gives me the stretch goal, right? The stretch goal is always my goal. The other two I ignore, right? Because if you believe you can hit the stretch goal, I know I'm going to hit the must goal, right? And that's the way our customers think as well. Is like you were saying, once you get to 100 pools, things get confusing. You start forgetting things and you need something that really keeps track of everything. I want every one of our customers to believe they can be as small or as big as they want to be. If they want to have 20 pools or 50 pools and that's their zone and that's where they want to be, great. I still want to make that easy for them. If they want to have 500 pools, I still want to make that easy for them and believe that they can manage 5, 10, 15, 50 techs using Skimmer and their life will still be simple. It might be a little bit more complicated when you're dealing with 50 people, right? But from a software perspective, it's just as simple once you get the route set up and everything gets set in motion.
Right.
Something else I'll emphasize is it is inspiring when you hear the customers talk about how much they love Skimmer. But the other side of that coin is, to me, it kind of creates a sense of obligation on our end to say, hey, that's what they expect from us. How do we keep that going, and how do we make it even better? And that's kind of what motivates me and I think most of the team every day to say, hey, let's we're these guys are counting on us, so we gotta do an even better job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And as far as what's next for the Skimmer Mobile, I was thinking about it last night when I saw this thing. My son turns 16 next year, and he's really been hoping I buy him a car. So it'll be really interesting when on his 16th birthday, he's got
Dad, I said a Tesla. What is this shit?
That's awesome.
It's like, wait,
So you even get the Skimmer costume that comes with it.
well, he's not only going to get this Skimmer mobile, but he'll also get an assigned route he needs to take
That's
every
right.
morning
Yeah,
to
yeah.
wherever he's going.
Yep. These are the stops you need to make to show off the car.
Are you putting like a city and state sticker like on the back or something for every place you visit?
That's a good idea. We started here, obviously. I call it the Mecca of pool service professionals, which is the Phoenix metro area. Now, when I'm in Scottsdale, I can't mention the word Phoenix. That's for sure. They don't live in Phoenix, for the record. They live in Scottsdale. But Scottsdale and Phoenix and all the different areas that make up this metro area is obviously one of our largest customer base. And so we started here and we wanted to find out what the feel is. Another reason we came here is you guys are here, the Pool Chasers. Lots of other influencers in the industry obviously are here and started in the Phoenix area. So we started here, and our next stop is going to be Southern California, and then Vegas, and then I think we're going to swing down through Tucson, head back to Texas. Jack and I have a lot of work to do with the team on the roadmap based on all this feedback, and then I'm going to head down to Florida and make the rounds. The Sun Belt states, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and Southern California is where a majority of our customers are. But as we showed you earlier, our customer map, we have customers all over the country, right? We, the entire, wherever the population is in the United States, there's a Skimmer user or a Skimmer owner using Skimmer to service pools. Virgin Islands, Hawaii.
Did you check Alaska?
I don't think we have a customer in Alaska yet.
I think
Except
The
for
Polar Bear Club.
dang Wyoming. Wyoming is once you get Wyoming.
yeah. Wyoming and Alaska, I think, are the only two we don't have.
So we're hitting the sort of the Sun Belt states, where a majority of our customers are now, and they're using it the most. They've got you think about a Phoenix, right? It's a dry heat. It's super hot here. Then you think about Southern California and the weather changes there as far as rain and all the different things that happen. And then you go to Florida with all the humidity, right? And all the different things that pool professionals have to think about to keep a pool sparkling. When I had a pool and I had 4 kids, I wanted my pool to look like the Caribbean. I mean, I didn't feel like I was asking too much, right?
You were.
Now that I've gone, and now that I go out with pool guys, I realize that's asking a lot, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not that simple. That when you do accomplish that, you have a really good pool professional working for you, because it's very difficult when you're actually using the pool a lot, right? You've got to make sure you have the right equipment. And when they tell you, hey, well, okay, if you want it to look like that, here's what we need to do with your setup. And here's what I need you to do midweek, or I need to be out here twice a week, right? And they just lay it out for you, and you make the decisions on what you're willing to do or what you want to pay to have that type of result. But that's the beauty of it. And I think that's what's cool. I met with one of our customers the other day, and he said, one day, Kevin, I always worried about telling owners when they had a big expense or they needed to get a new pump and it was going to be $1,000 or $1,500. I always worried about, what they would think of my credibility. And one day, I was really frustrated. There was just no way there was any other option for this customer. And they walked outside, and I turned around, I walked up to him and I said, hey, look, you really don't have any other options. I've looked at this, A, and I've looked at B. This is your best option. It's going to be $1,500. I can go get the pump right now and get it done. And the owner looked at me and said, okay, right? Well, I looked at this guy, our customer, and I said, he had a beard, a really cool looking beard that comes down to a point. He's got the straw hat on. He just looks like a really cool guy. And I go, I would believe anything you said about my pool. You look like the ultimate pool professional. But as we were talking about that, what I realized is he cared. He realized, yeah, people want pools. They want to enjoy their pools, but they don't want to invest a huge amount of money into them if they don't have to, right? They just want to kind of, let's make it work, right? There's sort of a balance there of how much I want to invest in my pool and what I want my pool to accomplish. And I think we underestimate how much effort and knowledge that takes for our pool professionals to do that. And I think we can help do that with Skimmer as far as, when we know what equipment a particular customer has, when we know what the readings are, we know what the dosages are, when the chemicals that you're putting into that pool, we can really start to give you a profile. Something that Greg was saying is, tell me not only what I'm doing, but, give me some more information about my customers that I probably know. I just have hundreds of customers, but give me some insight on a pool that I probably should think about and give some feedback to that customer or do something different, because I've got 100 other things I'm thinking about. So send me an email, as an owner, and say, here's 10 things we noticed about your data.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And these customers, and they're outliers compared to your other customers. We don't do that today, but that's definitely where we're headed.
That's cool.
Where we're able to give customers like that, our customers, insight about what they're doing, or that particular techs are using twice as much chemicals as someone else, right? And that's not twice as much, but a lot more. And these days, with things and the prices being so much higher, it's important to know that and keep track of it.
For sure.
So where can people get more information and get the Pool Chasers discount? The one we really twisted your guys' arm on.
Yeah.
Had to wrestle with you again.
I know. You guys are so tough. Look, the best way is go to our website, www.getskimmer.com. Not only do we have information about the product, but we have a video library that's open to the public, not just our customers. I think there's 98 videos now that show, in addition to a demo that walks you through the sort of an overview demo, we've got these 97 videos that show you every single feature that Skimmer has. And it's really fantastic just to really learn the product. So if you go to our website, you'll see it. You can also call us. We have a great support team, and we are very committed to keeping that support team great, even as we grow.
In order to get the Pool Chasers discount, go to getskimmer.com/pool chasers, right? But as Jack said, if you go there, if you go to getskimmer.com/pool chasers and you sign up, you'll get 50% off your first 2 months of the Skimmer subscription fees. Let's say you sign up and you notice you did not get that discount, right? Just call customer support, let them know that you heard about us through Pool Chasers, and we can still add that to your account.
That's how I know you're a big sports fan. You just said dub. Like, get the W.
I'm also very competitive, too. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, hey, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here in the studio with us. This was a really fun conversation. And, as always, we're excited to see where Skimmer goes next.
Yeah, thanks.
We're excited to be part of it. So thank you guys for letting us spend some time with you.
Yeah, it's been great.
Hey, Pool Chasers. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode. To connect with today's guests, including pictures, links, and resources from everything discussed today, you can visit the episode page at poolchasers.com or click the links below. To connect more with us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter by searching at Pool Chasers. If you would like to support the podcast, the easiest and most effective way is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as share the show or your favorite episode with a friend or on social media. Also, you can get early access to each episode by supporting us through Patreon. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for sharing some of yours with us today.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.